Hello and welcome to our how-to video on roles, teams, and skills in mission control. In this training video, I'll be covering off what roles are, what defines them, how you can create them, and the different types of roles you can create. I'll also go over teams and skills, their use cases, and how you can create them. So let's start with roles. A role represents a team member or a person who will work on projects for you. Each person working on a project, including your clients, your consultants, your employees, they're all represented by a role record in mission control. So taking the example of an employee, you'll likely have a Salesforce user record for them. And to allow them to use mission control, you'll need to create a role that associates with their user record. If you have an external user accessing Salesforce and mission control through a community, they will also require a role record associating to their user record. If you need to keep track of work assigned to external resources who don't need to access mission control, and you'd also like for them to receive the different notifications like the status report notifications or the notifications on assigning new actions, then you can create a role record that associates to their contact record. You may also need a role record that doesn't associate with a user or a contact. And one of the first scenarios for that would be using a role as an equipment. So maybe you need to capture what equipment was being used for a certain task. You can create a role for that. The other scenario is when you're assigning placeholder roles. So when you're creating your project templates, you don't want to assign a live resource on your templates because their availability might differ. And in that case, you want to assign a placeholder role. So a placeholder role it defines the type of resource required to fulfill a task or an action. So for example, you've got a task that requires a project manager or maybe a consultant. You can create a placeholder role accordingly and then assign that on the template. So this will help you when you generate a project from this template. You'll know that, okay, I need a project manager here, I need a consultant here, I need an administrator here. I can swap those out for real live resources. The other use case for that is when you're not sure of your resources availability and the action is far out into the future. So you assign a placeholder role. So when the time comes when you are aware of your resources availability, you can swap them out for the appropriate resource. So moving on to teams. So teams will allow you to group up your roles into a group, and a role can be a part of multiple teams. So teams can be department based. So think of it like grouping up all your consultants in one team, all your project managers in another team, all your developers in the developers team. Or they can be location based. So maybe you've got resources all around the world, in different countries, different regions, different states, and you can create location-based teams for that. So this will help you find teams will help you find the right resource for the job. So maybe you need someone who's a project manager, for example. You can use the project manager's team to find a resource accordingly. Or maybe you need to accommodate a client in a specific area and you've got resources there, so you likely want to use a specific location-based team for that area to accommodate your client. You can also use teams to assign holidays, and that's more relevant to location-based teams. So you've got public holidays and you want to assign a public holiday to a specific team, and it's not applicable to other teams, so you want to use teams in that instance as well. You've also got different filtering options throughout mission control tools, and they give you the option to filter based on teams, and they'll help you narrow down your search results basically. Moving on to skills. So again, as the name suggests, it allows you to capture resources skills, and they can be used for different purposes. It can help you find resources based on skills they have, their proficiency. You can also determine the hourly rates based on the skills you've assigned. So maybe this resource is charged at a different rate on one skill compared to another. You can also use skills with the skills development planning feature, which allows you to conduct assessments at certain timed intervals where you can capture how well a resource is upskilling, and if you need to improve in certain areas. And you can also use skills for filtering purposes, so it'll help you narrow down your search results in different mission control tools. So that's a good overview for the roles, teams, and skills in mission control. We can now move to the demo. All right, so I'm on the mission control console, which is found under the mission control tab. And within this tab, I'm under the launchpad. The launchpad allows you to create records for different mission control objects. And the ones we're focusing on today are the role, team, and skills objects. So you can use the new buttons here to create the different records, or you can navigate to their tabs. So I'm on the roles tab. I can use a new button to create a new role. I'm now on the skills tab. I can use a new button from here. And now I'm on the teams tab where I can use a new button from here. Before you create a new role, it is recommended that you have created teams and skills that you'll be assigning to this new role. And this is because when you're creating a new role, you'll be presented with the option to assign existing teams and skills. So let's go through what is required to create a team and a skill. So I'm going to use the new skill button from here. You'll see the same window if you're creating it from the skills tab. So I can enter in a skill name from here. I can set a type for it. So the default values for the skill type are certification, language, and skill. But you can change this up. You can remove some of the values here, or you can add in new values. So you've got the active checkbox as true by default. You want to make sure this is active if you're going to be utilizing the skill. And you've got the mass assigned to roles checkbox. When this is true, this will automatically complete the next step for you where you have to assign skills to resources. And the way this works is if anybody is assigned another skill of type certification, they will also receive the skill. So if that's not something you need to do, maybe you need to manually assign that skill, you can do that separately, either by editing a role record or creating a new role record or using the related list for it. And we'll cover that later. So you can, once you've defined those details, you can add in some notes and click save, and it'll create that skill for you. Similarly, when you're creating a team, you can specify the team name, make sure it's set to active, add in any notes if you want to, click save, and then the next step would be to assign that skill. So the one way to assign that skill would be when you're creating a new role or editing it. So let's jump into the new role page here. So this is not your standard window that you were seeing with the team and skill, the standard UI. This is a custom Visualforce page, and you do have the option to add in custom fields, and I'll cover that soon. So the first section here, so all of these sections are collapsible. So if you need to collapse some of them or expand, you can do that from here. So the first section is the person details. So you're able to select the source of the role. So whether that it will be relating to a user or a contact, or it will relate to neither, and it'll be just an asset or a placeholder role. So when you've selected user, you'll see this option to filter down your search results to either all users, partner users, or customer portal users. And when you do that, you can enter in a name here, click the search button, and then select the appropriate resource from there. You can also do the same for contacts and use a search to find your resource. You've also got asset where it's not going to associate it with either a user or a contact, and you can just give it a name here directly. So you can create an asset role, or you can create a placeholder role. So I'll go ahead and create a placeholder role for a project manager. I can give a job title if I need to, and this will be surfaced in a few different areas of mission control. So when you're assigning some resources, you'll see that, okay, this resource is a project manager based on the job title. You've got the function field here, which allows you to set a value, and this is in reference to the rate card functionality. I'd recommend reading up on that if you're going to be utilizing this field. You've got the resource settings section up next. So this section will mainly determine the resources availability, their capacity, how many billable hours are expected to work, who's supposed to approve their time logs and holidays, what their hourly rate would be as a default. So first up, you've got the hours per week, and this is in reference to the day fields that you've got here. So you've got Monday through to Sunday here, and the default values are 8 hours each day from Monday to Friday. And that's totaling to 40 hours. So whatever the value that you specify here, that totals up to, you want to specify that here. So maybe this person is not going to be working 40 hours every week. Maybe they're just going to be working part-time, 32 hours. So you can update those different days accordingly and then specify the value. You've got the billable target. So This will specify a percentage value that this resource is expected to um, deliver in terms of the billable hours. So, for example, they're expected to work 80% of their 32 hours every week, and that's meant to be billable hours. Timesheet approver, this looks up to another role record that is going to be approving the time logs and holidays. You've got your billable hourly rate, cost hourly rates of using role-based billing. This is going to be taken into account. You've got your Saturday and Sunday for those days values. And the days per week is a formula field that is calculated automatically based on if a value greater than zero is specified here in one of the day fields. You've got the permission notification settings. So within this section, you're able, a lot of it is around settings to enable the user or the role record to receive notifications from mission control. So you've got notifications like if a new action has been assigned to them, whether they haven't submitted enough time logs for the current week, or maybe they're expected to receive notifications on if any of their resources where they are the timesheet approver hasn't submitted enough time for that for the last week. You've got the dependency update notification. So if the parent action in a dependency is complete, the action owner and contributor should be notified so that they can start working on it. So if you set that to true, you'll receive those notifications. You've also got settings here where you're able to manage the timesheet and the subordinate timesheet. So if this resource is the timesheet approver for certain roles, and you want them to be able to look up their timesheet, you want to make sure the subordinate timesheet field is set to true. But if this is an admin or a PMO or someone who's supposed to have access to everyone's timesheet, you can set this to true, and they'll be able to see all the users' timesheets. You've got the apply default filter. So within mission control, you have a lot of flexibility in assigning filters, and this field extends that, and it allows you the option to set a default filter. So you can create a filter, you can set that as default for different resources, and if you have this set to true, you'll be able to do that basically. You've got the daily digest fields here for the different days, and that's to determine if the resource should receive it on that specific day. And there's another field here called receive digest. So this is if they should receive it in the first place. So you want to, if they should be receiving it on specific days, you want to make sure this is true, and specify whatever days. So maybe they want to receive it on Thursday and Tuesday. So you can set those to true. You've got the exclude from scheduler and timesheet fields. So if this resource is not meant to be shown over there, you can check those. Yeah. In the next section, you've got expense settings. So this will define another role record for the expense approval field here. And this resource is meant to approve the expenses if they're set if the project is set to require role manager approval. It's going to go to approval for whoever you've specified here. So the mileage rate is a rate that you specify, and if a user has been submitting expenses which contains the distance value, the mileage rate will be used to determine the cost amount on the expenses. You've got the console settings. So on the console, as I was earlier over here, you've got different tabs. So you can control visibility of the different tabs here, and you can also set what the default landing tab is. So every time I refresh the mission control tab or try to go into that tab, my default tab is set to Launchpad, and that's where it'll take me. You can choose to change that. So maybe this person is supposed to go directly into the control pad or the progress pad. And you can also control if the user needs to have access to different tabs. So maybe they don't need access to the control pad or the management pad, but they'll need access to the launch pad, the progress pad, and the default landing tab should be the progress pad. You've got your trackpad settings, and the trackpad is found again on the mission control tab over here, or you can find it on your project overview page. So you'll see the different tabs here. So the first setting here, you're able to set what the default value is, default tab is. So every time that page, that trackpad loads, it'll take them in there. So if that's something they frequently use, you want to set that value from there. And then you can again choose to hide some of those different tabs if you need to. You've got the project overview settings. So when you're on the project overview page, You've got different tabs within the overview tab. So I've got the insight, overview, detail, budget, action pad, time logs, and so on. Maybe your resources don't need access to a lot of that, or so in that case, you can update that to remove that access. Or maybe they just don't need access to some of the charts in the different tabs. You can update those fields from here accordingly. And then again, you can set a default tab value. So maybe the insights tab is what they should be landing on, or the detail, or the Kanban, the action pad, the whiteboard, and so on. In the next section, this is pertaining to the charts within the Insights tab. So I'm on the Insights tab. You'll see there's a couple of different charts in here, and you can control visibility of the different charts directly from here. So now I'm on the Gantt chart settings section, and within this section, you're able to set the edit modal and the different tabs that it has. You're able to control the visibility and the default tabs in there. So if I jump into a project here and go to the Gantt chart, when I edit any record, I can see a window basically where I can adjust the different values. So if I open up the milestones tab here, I've got the milestones tab, which contains some common fields that are used. I've got the record detail tab, which will show me all the fields for my page layout. And then I've got the chatter tab where I can collaborate with other users. So if I were to update that for the milestone here, I can do that. I can change the default tab for it from here, or I can set different the visibility of the different tabs. So maybe they don't need access to chatter. I can update that. So you'll see that for the portfolio, the program, project, phase, milestone, action, and checklist item. You've got your notes section, and then you've got a section on the custom role data. And from here, you can define or you can add in custom fields from the role record, from the role object, and you'll see them here. So if I go to the object manager here, I'm under the field set section. There's a field set called custom fields. You just need to add in any custom fields that you want to update. Make sure you click save from here. And then once you click save, refresh your page here, you'll be able to see the different custom fields that you've added. The last two sections are on the team and the skill assignment. So first up, the team assignment, you're able to add in a specific team that the resource belongs to, and then add a new row if you need to, or if you need to add in multiple rows, you can do that. So maybe two more teams that they'll be added to. So they'll be on the AU team, the consultants team, and maybe the customer success team. And you can also define a master team. So only one of the teams should be the master team. So that is the main team that they should be related to or brought back to. So this is a project manager. I would expect if I'm assigning it to a project manager stream, I would expect that to be the master team for them for this resource. And then the master team is mainly used for different groupings and mission control tools like the role utilization. You're able to group data by master team. So that's where that would be used. Lastly, you've got the skill assignment. So with the skill assignment, previously you were able to assign a skill to multiple resources based on the type. Now you're able to assign multiple skills to a single resource based on the type. So maybe this resource is expected to have all the certification skills that we've got. You can click assign and that'll be added for this resource. So all the skills that we've got, those are assigned to this resource. I can add in any other fields. So I can set maybe a skill here, and I'll be able to look up all the skills of type skill. I'm able to set expiry dates if that's applicable, and then I can add in billable hourly rates. So this is if you're using the skill-based billing feature. Once you do that, once you click save, your role record will be created. The relevant records like the team assignment, the skill assignment, all of that will be created. So let's jump into what an existing role record looks like. And from here, you'll see if I go into the related tab, I've got the skill assignment, I've got the team assignment, and this is all in reference to the different records you create when you're editing the record or using the different other functionality from within this page. So for example, if I go onto the different buttons I've got here, so I've got the development plan, that's for the skills assessment planning feature. You've got the managed availability, that's in reference to the role availability records here. So the values that you specify on the role record here, the different days, the hours per week, the billable target, if that's going to change over time for a specified time period, you can use the manage availability. That's going to allow you to create a role availability record, and it's going to take that into account whenever you're looking at certain periods that you've specified. You've got the managed distribution where you're able to view the different distribution of holidays, the actions that the resource has been assigned, and role forecast hours. You've got the managed rates where you're able to create rate adjustments. So the values that you specify on the role record here, by the billable hourly rate and cost hourly rate, or on the skill assignments when you're when you have the option to set the billable hourly rate and cost hourly rate. So these would be the default rates that you set, but maybe there's been a change to the rates, any sort of change to the rates, you would use the managed rates page to update that. You've got the reassignment, so that'll allow you to quickly mass reassign a resource from an action to another. So when you jump into the reassignment window, you'll see all the work that this resource has been assigned to, and you can reassign it to someone else based on the status. So for example, this resource is going to be leaving the company, and you can use the reassignment feature to quickly update all the in progress and planned actions to be assigned to a new resource, basically. All right, thank you for tuning into this video. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us at support@preca.com or submit a ticket at preca.com/support. We have a very detailed user guide, a lot of training videos on our website, and a very strong knowledge base, and a revamped learning portal. Again, thank you for joining, and see you in the next one.